You get a badge. You get a badge. You get a badge.
Welcome back, everybody, to season 2 of Mount Silver.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Hey,
We are here.
explosive.
We are back. I am Meelz. I'm here with the Platinum Chanel boy himself, Jeff. I'm here with Big Coochie Pafif. And
Hello.
listen, the name,
Big Gucci.
you came strong with season 2.
Yeah, we're
Listen,
here.
people, it's about the glow up. Season 2, I'm back. We're back.
Yeah.
We needed some new branding.
I 100% respect it. We are here, and people may be wondering, oh, damn, what's season 2 about? Even though I probably have explained it on social media by at this point. But season 2 will be going over the 8 gyms of Kanto. And that means we'll be going over the actual anime itself. That means if you want to, it'll be a nice little look into the anime world of Pokemon, which we haven't really explored yet because the first season we kind of just went over the games, but we'll still kind of do the link between season 1 and season 2 where we talk about our own game experiences going through these gyms.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a good way to deep dive like red, blue, and yellow, because when we really only spent one episode on those, I mean, really, we only did. And now we're going to be able to do, I mean, it's gym focused, but it will allow us to talk about the entire Kanto region over 8 episodes instead of 1.
Oh yeah. And if you guys are lucky and if you guys are receptive enough, maybe we'll do whatever Ash experienced in the Indigo League or where the hell it is, and that traumatizing experience that hopefully
if you want to go back over that.
But with that said, I mean, 8 episodes thus far, 8 gyms of Kanto. The first one, obviously, quite honestly, maybe the most infamous one, because the first gym of Kanto belongs to Pewter City. It belongs to Brock.
Young Brock.
I want to quickly talk about it in terms of our own experience playing this game. Back as a young lad playing Red, Blue, Yellow, or a new lad playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu. Right. Let's talk about Brock, for instance, because I don't know if you could have, if your first run through on this game, if you could ever be ready for Brock. I mean, maybe in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, because that game is so like.
I'll say everybody was picking Charmander a lot, so you may.
Bro, that's my story. And that's how they got you. They kind of fucking
with
tricked you.
Charmander, you're going to struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
If you went with,
and it got worse. It got worse.
You had to wait till you got like Vine Whip, I think at like 13 to really like make shit happen.
Yeah, you would have had to grind a lot to be effective with Bulbasaur. I think Squirtle got Bubble Beam at 9. Is that crazy?
No,
I think
it was
Bubble or something.
Okay, Bubble. Yes. Classic upgrade to Bubble Beam. But yeah, if you had Bubble, you were good. But if you didn't, because Bulbasaur was, again, that's a high level for this gym. If he had Vine Whip.
It was stress. I think there was one. I think in Pokemon Red, you could catch Mankey early, and if you got Karate Chop,
if you were smart enough, yes. If you
got Karate Chop early enough, you can make something happen.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do that on my first playthrough of Red, but because you can get Mankey right outside of
Meridian City. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Meridian City? Yes.
Isn't it outside of Mount?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And actually, I think technically, Nidoran can probably learn something that would help you out.
Double kick.
Yeah. And then of course there's no, that wouldn't help you. I was gonna say there's some weird Pokemon outside of Mount Moon.
It was tough. Even if you went with Squirtle or Bulbasaur, you had to level them up a good bit to.
Yeah, and if you went with Bulbasaur, you were really rewarded more so in Celadon than in Pewter. Because if you had Bulbasaur, that wasn't really going to help you or Squirtle, that wasn't going to help you against Misty.
Yeah.
Well, my experience was definitely I would say it's definitely that with Pat in terms of picking Charmander. What I had to do after that was I trained the Caterpie to a high enough level. I think he learned Psybeam or something along those lines.
It's that confusion, man. That confusion.
Fusion. Yeah.
Like 13 or something or 12.
Right. I had to train them to that. And kind of
you had to know all this stuff. Like you had this is you couldn't know this stuff in 1996, 97.
It was tough.
Have you seen Geodude in the game in 1998 with the 3 things coming from his head?
Oh yeah. Some of these facelifts.
The Onyx was hell, but that Geodude he got a few defense curls off, and you was gonna get hurt.
Yeah, there was a lot of just waiting in those old games in battles, like just waiting and waiting because of Harden and defense curl.
Bind. I thought Bind was so hard at that time, and then like,
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll say this: the first in terms of Brock, because in the anime we talk about it, and he uses Bind on Pikachu. I think that's really the only move that he uses.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
in this entire thing.
He doesn't even
But he
use any
actually
goddamn rock moves.
No, he used Bide in the actual game, which is one that if we continue to attack it, it then sends it back double at you,
basically.
and double the actual impact. So
It hurt.
you hit it with enough tackles, and it's just like, I think that it was like the sort of handicap of it. It's like, okay, it's not going to attack you for a few turns,
Right.
but you better kill it like now.
You gotta handle it.
Yeah.
Or
They
you better
looked-
start
Onyx and
something out.
Geodude looked scary in those old games too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was certainly scary in this episode when we kind of talking about it here, and we're talking about episode 5 of Pokemon. Episode 5. Up to this point, Ash has gotten Pikachu. Actually, let's do a little status checkup. Currently, Ash is traveling with Misty, and only Misty at this point.
Okay. They're flirting a little bit.
They're a little bit. He destroyed her bike. He destroyed her bike, and she's apparently following him in order.
This is one of the great anime romance.
Yeah, kind
a little
of.
bit.
It never came to light.
No, but she like says some shit to him like way later in the show, doesn't she? Like, doesn't she basically state like this was a romantic relationship, like by the 8th gym or something?
I don't think so. I feel like
I remember
they have been teased with partners before, like a romantic kind of thing with Ash. I don't think it was with Misty so much. They kind of were like,
the Lugia movie. Remember when old girl was flirting with Ash, and they had Misty kind of like, Misty was feeling some type of way about that shit.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. Like,
Ash is traveling with Misty. Misty is just a trainer that he found early in his journey. Grabbed her bike. The bike has ended up being destroyed by a giant thunder clap or something along those lines. And she's following him around in order to retain the bike. And they've gone through Viridian Forest at this point. In Viridian Forest.
So.
Classic episodes before this one. Classic.
Ash catches his first Pokemon, Caterpie. It evolves into Butterfree. He actually uses that Caterpie and also Pikachu to capture his second Pokemon, Pidgeotto, in Viridian Forest. So he's got a roster of 3. I mean, he's got a roster of 3 currently going into this gym, the Pewter City Gym. None of them.
Not a roster he could really beat Brock with, though.
No, not realistically, none of them should.
Like, Brock would destroy it. Like.
All design. If you had that roster, you would lose.
Yo, 100%. 100%.
Yes. You would. I mean, you might, Gust might, but you might gust him to death, but you might confuse him to death. You might use a sleep powder and try to like really harass them a little bit. But yes, you would ultimately die. It is no question that these are just the most starter pack of the Pokemon that he could have gotten easily.
Right, definitely.
I asked you guys this question: what level do you think Pikachu is around here? But considering that in these early anime episodes, levels were a thing before they decided to throw them out in there because they were too confusing.
Okay,
I really don't know. I mean, he's got to be in between like 10 and 15. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, if they're because otherwise he would have honestly. Here's the thing: these levels never translated accurately to the show, and if he were like 15, he could have done about as well as he ended up doing in the episode. I mean, the way he did what he did, we'll talk about. I mean,
it's hard
to actually be using. He uses Thunderbolt in the episode
at level like he just got the Pikachu.
Yeah. I mean, they play a little fast and loose with the move. The moves. It was like he did it. And I was like, sure, if it was Thunderbolt, maybe Thunderbolt to level 13 Onyx, it'll probably die no matter who you are. But what the fuck?
I mean, we'll see how this kind of goes out here.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Early, so we're transferring now to the anime part of the episode where he meets, as Ash comes out of Viridian Forest, he meets a guy selling rocks. His name is Flint. He sells rocks. Pewter City. Just a rocky town filled with rock history.
We love rocks, folks.
He's selling rocks as you enter the town. Wow.
Yo, like
it's so funny they invented this character. Like giving Brock this story is so funny. It's so weird.
It's very weird.
It's interesting kind of how they chose. I gotta hear the story of how they chose actual Misty and Brock. I don't know if it had something to correlate with the game. They wanted to, get people more used to the characters in the game or fall in love with the characters in the game. But the fact that they chose Misty and Brock to continue your first two gym leaders ever to hang out with Ash is very interesting. But they introduced Flint. Flint is just this old guy with a beard. He's selling rocks. He tries to give just a light little wisdom of like, you're challenging the gym, Brock. Brock is one of the toughest trainers that ever lived. You better be prepared.
His skills could carry him beyond Pewter City.
He was looking at his Pikachu like, you about to pull up with that?
Yeah, you might need more training. One thing that I want to recognize is this, also in the early part of this episode, Ash reaches eventually with the Pokemon Center. They are extinct now, so it's like kind of
right.
I forgot the name a little bit, but the Pokemon Center. First of all, this is his first introduction of all the Nurse Joys being the same.
Yes.
A running gag in the show that I love. I personally love it.
It's amazing.
That it's smart. Why am I animating new nurses and everything? My wife.
They're all cousins.
Like, yeah, they're all cousins. They're all sisters. This is my sister from Viridia City. This is my aunt from Pewter City. But in that gym, in that Pokemon Center, he also sees that poster, the Pokemon Regional Championships poster.
The regionals. We love the regional tournament.
And I'm legitimately like, this looks way more official than probably it ended up being. Like,
definitely.
It looks like, all right, Pokemon Regional Championships. To enter this championship, you have to win 8 badges. It's like, oh, okay, there's a little story here. But it doesn't end up being even nearly as official looking as it probably.
Yeah, I gotta say the anime version of like the
early parts
of the champion. The early parts of the anime are really weird, but overall the anime's like the idea that it's like an ongoing tournament seasonally makes much more sense than like these 4 or 5 trainers who like live in a secret headquarters and like then you fight them.
Right. I've always been confused with the fact it's like, when is the actual cutoff for this tournament, right? Like, you get the 8 badges, but where does that leave me in reference to other people? So, like, if I didn't get it fast enough, would I not be able to enter the league?
Right. Yeah, like, you get the idea that it's like let's say every spring, anyone with 8 badges can enter the tournament.
It's like, how many L's are these gym leaders taking? Like,
the show also makes it seem like there's so many more gym leaders. There are episodes where like you see badges that are not.
This man Gary had.
We got 7 more episodes until we reach there.
I know, but it's hilarious. Yeah.
And so he gets his Pokemon healed up naturally, as anyone would do, any self-respecting trainer would do, as I would do in this game.
He's begging them to heal his Pokemon.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes. He meets the Pewter Gym. He walks up to the Pewter Gym where Brock is sitting Indian style and pretty much explaining the rules of gym battles. Now, I always thought this gym was supposed to teach Ash about type effectiveness, because that's what I always thought. I was like, okay, he doesn't have the right types to win. Maybe he will catch. Maybe this is my brain. If I'm thinking as a 30-year-old in 1998, I'm like, oh, maybe he'll catch some new shit.
Yeah.
Right. Help himself out.
But no, this isn't that. This is a kid show. Whatever. So Brock is sitting in Indian style. He's like, and he's really meaner than he usually is. Like, we've learned for him
they changed his whole personality after this episode.
Yeah, he was like, is that your only Pokemon? How long have you been on this road? He's like 2 weeks. He's like, I have so many questions. Okay, I would just, we're starting this off. I have legitimately so much in my brain that I can talk about in terms of like, why those two? What are the levels of those two? If he was stronger, if someone decided to go to Brock for their 7th gym as opposed to their first gym,
that's my thing, Meelz. It's like, why are you asking him how long it took him to get here? It's like you're the first gym, buddy. I can't go nowhere else right now. This is
I live one town south.
It's like, you're first.
So Brock's in an Indian style. Eventually, he challenges. He's like, "Yo, this is a 2-on-2 battle." And then in this first battle, he starts with Onyx, and I'm just like, "Wait a minute."
Cold.
I was like, "Wait a minute." So like, you would have followed up a Geodude? Like, I don't get it. Like,
Geodude's the closer.
Take him home, Geodude. Anyway, first battle, we get Pikachu versus Onyx. And Pikachu's not happy. First of all, I love Pikachu in these early episodes.
Oh yeah, so much personality.
So much.
A lot more personality than we see from him now. I mean, you see a great degree of personality, and it's because of the trust that he has for Ash. But in these early episodes, he still doesn't trust Ash. He doesn't trust his decision making. He doesn't trust the situation.
I feel like they're still trying to make us fall in love with, you know, the Pokemon of Pikachu at this point. So like they gave us so much, you know.
Right? No, you're right. Because he tries to call Pidgeotto in a battle, and he's like, "Nah, man, come on, this isn't Pidgeotto's battle. This is your battle." You know, he's afraid to go into a battle with a giant snake, and rightfully so, because he gets binded quite quickly, and has been forced to give up in his first battle. And that is really it. That is legitimately his first gym battle. Is Pikachu versus Onyx. Onyx wraps him up and says,
he got smoked.
"Okay, that's a wrap." Yeah, immediately.
Ash is so stupid in these early episodes. Like, he doesn't know anything, and he doesn't want to know anything. Like, it's actually kind of a good, where it's weird because they totally make Brock into a completely different guy after this episode. They do not, they do kind of a good job with Misty of like teeing up the water thing a little bit. It's not like the most advanced plotting in the world, but like, she tries, you know that she knows about water. She's clearly smarter than Ash.
Pokemon to him.
Yeah, which again, that's like a whole other what?
Yeah, I know. It's strange. Like I thought they were only gonna obey the person that catches them. What the fuck are you talking about, Misty?
Yeah,
this is true. It's quite non-ethical, I would say.
Right. It's like it's cheating, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cheating.
Ash, assumingly he blacks out and gives up $200 or whatever the hell happens after that. And he ends up at Flint's house.
Right.
Sure. He ends up at Flint's house, which has way more rocks than the rock shop. He ends up at Flint's house, and Flint's just like, you know, I can make your Pikachu stronger. And I'm like, okay, they're gonna go through a battle process. Maybe Pikachu learns how to battle. Maybe they learn to be in sync, because currently
that's too logical.
Yeah,
in these modern episodes, in these modern Pokemon episodes, it's all about the bond that you have.
It's all about the bond.
It's like, you know, if you want to use a Z move, you have to have bond. You have to do the moves in sync. You won't have to do all this other stuff like that.
Ash Greninja.
He gets there and he's like, no, I can make your Pokemon stronger. And you know what we're going to use? Hydroelectricity.
Hey, you will be running on the wheel.
Put these on Pikachu's cheeks.
They're literally just like juicing him up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess another form of cheating. Was this the turning point for Pikachu? That he just go from level 15 to 25 right here?
Yeah, this is what made him so special.
Yeah, I always think back to this moment, like, damn, maybe this is why Pikachu's so fucking OP.
Yeah, no, you could be right, because the hydroelectricity. I mean, the concept of hydroelectricity. I mean, it works in the show, considering you have 20 minutes to fill, and it's just like, all right, how interesting could we make this show? But in retrospect, I'm like, bro, how are you gonna charge your Pikachu with hydroelectricity?
Yeah, all this shit that doesn't happen in the games at all. No, it happens just so much in these early episodes.
Flint also carries himself over. He also brings Ash over to like a window where Brock is. Brock's got a full, like, you know, 10 little brothers and sisters that he's making up. He's like, wow, I thought this guy was a dickhead, but like he's really just someone who's trying to take care of his family. And I'm just like, at what point does this matter in this show? Like, he's a gym leader.
It doesn't.
Also, how bad of a dad is Brock's dad that like he just watches them out the window and he won't go back inside?
Where the fuck is their mom?
She's dead.
Well, apparently. So it says.
Apparently,
explains it. Flint says their good for nothing father left to become a Pokemon trainer, and their heartbroken mother eventually passed away. I'll let you know in the future, as someone who has continued to watch the anime, and I wouldn't say I'm completely, like, you know, fluent in the anime. I haven't watched every episode, but I've watched most episodes. They retcon that Brock's mom is actually dead. Because
okay.
I'm glad you said that, though, because that's what I was about to say. Like, we got to remember what happened with this man's story. This man's mom is not dead.
This man's mom is not dead, and she's actually a water type trainer. And they eventually transformed the Pewter City Gym into a rock and water type gym, and that is why Brock eventually goes back to the gym and it's just like, oh, y'all fucking this shit up. and he takes the gym back over. That's
Is
kind of what
that
happened.
when does he do that?
That's confused. He can't believe this shit.
This is like probably season 14 of the show.
Okay, because I was gonna say they did take him out of it for a little while when they added Tracy, aka fake Brock.
God,
Let's never speak of Tracy again.
He had a fucking
Meryl.
Meryl. He had a useless Meryl.
Tracy Sketchit is his name.
Wait, was that his last name for real?
That was his last name. Tracy Sketchit. Sketchit.
They really tried this.
Let's never speak of him again.
Yeah, let's
the
move
Orange
on.
Islands. The Orange Islands, which is not canon at all.
GS Ball.
So hydroelectricity, and yes, at this point, Misty's offering help, and he's just like, no, screw you, go away. And she's like being feigned off for most of this episode. A lot of her appearance is like, get away from me now, and she's just like, huh, and walks away. And I'm just like, that's all we contributed to this episode. That's it.
That's it.
I mean, it is what it is. Second battle. I feel like
he comes back after Pikachu is recharged up.
Which is something that I think we can relate to. If you went in not knowing of Brock's thing, you were surely defeated in the first time. Like, if you did not know that you needed to power up Charmander to learn Ember to maybe stand a chance, chances are you were beaten the first time because Weedle isn't cutting it, Caterpie isn't cutting it.
Yeah, even if you bring those up, like Meelz said, you get the Butterfree. I mean, you still got to wait for that confusion to hit. So
yeah, so
and all of this stuff is weak to Rock.
Yeah, that too.
He gets the second battle in, and he decides, I'm going to switch up it a little bit. And Brock switches it up too, because Ash sends in Pidgeotto, and Brock sends in Geodude. Pidgeotto gets one move in. Brock reminds him that the typing is not good, and apparently flying types are weak to rock types. And he's like, murked off screen, and that is it. Pidgeotto's gone.
A lot of great moments for Pidgeotto. We got to show Pidgeotto some love going forward because we don't see some great things from it, but this was not.
Pidgeotto is a stalwart through this entire series. Legitimately does not evolve until the very end where he is given away. But Geodude versus Pikachu lightly. I mean, here's a point where all of our questions need to be much more bigger questions.
It's time. We're here.
This is the major problem that people have found with the anime and its lack of consistency regarding the game. Because if you tried this in the game, you would surely be thought of as an idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Type advantage is a very, pertinent
It's the most defining thing in the game.
It's legitimately everything from this game to Sword and Shield. They make sure, I hope you know your type advantage. Because that's the only way you're going to win this thing. And it's even more prevalent in Sword and Shield because if you don't have the right types, you're just screwed. Pikachu shocks Geodude. It's supposed to be at a bigger disadvantage than even a Pidgeotto. Like, he's legitimately supposed
100%.
to be he shocks him, but due to his new hydroelectric boost, he burns Geodude to a crisp, and that is it.
Well,
one hit?
Yeah, I mean, it took one thunder shock?
Yeah, OHKO.
Crazy. At that moment, Brock was going to give him the badge no matter what happened. and I fully believe this. Like, he was already amazed. He's like, wait a minute, what the fuck did I just see?
We get Onyx versus Pikachu next. Onyx uses Bind again. Why not? We defeated him the first time. Let's go for it. Onyx uses Bind. He tries to shock Pikachu. Pikachu shocks Onyx, and it's starting to hurt a little bit, but not like a lot because he's a giant rock snake. But the electricity sets off the sprinklers in the arena.
Yeah,
the sprinklers
set in a rock type arena.
You never know what could happen. Fire safety is a very real thing. I'm not even gonna ask why there's. I would hope there's sprinklers in any establishment that you were attending. But there's a fire that sets off the sprinklers. Onyx is now at Misty done screams out. Onyx is weak to water.
Thanks for telling me. I mean, even though she wouldn't take her Pokemon, she could have just yelled that at any time.
At any time, like previously.
Yeah, if you're not gonna take my Pokemon, just gotta catch a water one.
Yeah, just real quick. There's a pond over there.
Here's the most defining thing. In the first 5 episodes, they make sure two things are clear, even if you don't know type effectiveness. That rubber does not conduct electricity,
Right.
and water absolutely conducts electricity.
That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
As a Pikachu trainer, that is all you need to know. That is why he had the rubber gloves in episode 1. That is why he won this battle in episode 5 after the sprinklers sprinkle all over Onyx. Electricity galore. Onyx is sent to the ground. He is weakened. And Ash try to finishes him off, but Brock's 10 little brothers and sisters are there to stop him.
This being a real
this
thing.
Is awful. Like the fact. I mean, that's tampering. That's tampering. Get off my field, kids.
In the regional, some sort of regional championship.
Regional qualifier.
Yeah, this is a regional qualifier.
To Brock's credit, he is not happy with his family for doing this.
No, that's fair.
No, he's just like, no, stop.
Well, the worst
official
thing about
gym
that
battle,
part,
guys. This is our official match.
You know what? Just take this badge. It's okay.
Ash decides this is too much BS. He was like, listen, we can't finish this battle. I'm just gonna go train more. Blah 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 blah. Brock legitimately races out the gym. I don't know how long he's been running to find him, and he says, here's the boulder badge. And Ash is like, for what?
Forfeiting. Yeah, that's it.
Twice.
For this is verbatim. You beat me in a battle and in being kind to Pokemon. And I was just like,
said that. I was like, he did not. You weren't mean to any Pokemon.
Right. I don't know, man. Brock really just. I feel like at that moment he was done being he was like, man, I don't want to do this shit no more. My Onyx just got shocked. He's trash.
He's looking for his out.
He's looking for his out. So he gives Ash the badge. He's like, listen, go on with your badge. This will be a recurring thing.
Yeah. Free badges.
Especially when it comes to the third gym, which is the most intensive gym, where at some point Misty will remind him that the only reason you got the first 2 gym badges is because we're friends with you and gave them to you.
And this nigga ain't gonna be that
regional
nice.
Championships. Yes, Pokemon regional championships, everybody. So eventually Flint shows up. Oh, Flint. Pulls off a hat and his beard. Mm-hmm. And Ash is confused. He's like, what's that? And Brock says, my father.
I didn't remember at the beginning of the episode that it becomes obvious pretty immediately that it's
you could tell.
But he looks so much like Brock that at first I was like, wait, is Brock in disguise? Like, oh no, it's his dad. But that would actually be kind of in character for Brock.
Yeah, it would have been.
Brock he's like, you're the good for nothing dad who ran away from his family. And Flint gives this whole, thing. He's like, listen, he revealed he's a good for nothing father and said he was too ashamed to go back to his family because he left them to become a Pokemon trainer and did not end up being any good.
Yeah. Bro, so they're orphans if you don't go back there.
Absolutely.
At this point, he relieves Brock of kind of his duties, more so because Brock says,
would you trust this man?
His one thing is that he's a shittier Pokemon trainer than he is a dad. So why not put him in charge of the gym?
Like, I'm not trusting him. Like, he literally admitted that he ain't got it like that.
He self-imposed exile from his family because he was such a failure as a trainer, and now he gets a free gym.
Well, at this point, Brock, like all the youth of America at this point, want to just leave. Want to just get out, leave, see the world. Forget about their problems or forget about all the problems that are going home with the families and stuff like that. He was like, listen, I want to jet set with this guy named Ash. Ash is out here roughing it.
My favorite 10-year-old opponent.
Right. Changed his life.
So he's like, Ash, you don't really mind if I travel with you, right? And Ash is like, nah. And he's like, but what about that girl behind us? And it's just like Misty walking behind him. And it's just like, you know what? This began the trio, the triumph.
That was it. That was the moment for it. That's all I feel like those gyms, the reason why they went like that and kind of like, handouts was, I mean, at the end of the day, they were just trying to tell the story for those 2 characters to follow this guy for the rest of his career. And that's all it was for. It's like they were handouts, man.
It is kind of good that they like the show ultimately, and the reason Ash gets so many handout badges is because they focus on character as much as they focus on anything else. But the idea that they didn't just that Brock and Misty are the major characters in the anime, and they are also characters that exist in the game. I think that's ultimately a good thing. It's better than if they had I mean, it was good to give Team Rocket personalities, but ultimately, those are, the show beat the game in that department, just flat out.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But with Brock and Misty, it's good that characters from the game became main characters in the show.
Right, because it kind of makes the game matter a little bit more. And I think what's with the new anime, I mean, the characters are still featured from the game are actually still featured in the show, but you don't get a sense at this point. They're on season 23 or 24 right now of this show. You don't get a sense that they matter. They're at some point just kind of stepping stones for this. Whereas in this sort of thing, if you're introduced to the show, and we know that the show was a giant, I don't know if the game was promotion for the show or the show was promotion for the game at this point.
I think it was whatever you wanted it to be.
Hey, I feel the same way, considering, your main character, he has the resemblance of Ash, but it's not Ash. It's red, it's blue, it's green.
It's you, right? You have the opportunity to kind of travel as Ash. You can catch the same Pokemon as him if you want, but ultimately you don't have to. But
I know that I saw the show before the game, and I think that's probably why I picked Charmander. Is the Charmander episode of the show even? I think that they did a really good job when this first came out of them going hand in hand.
Yeah, I think so as well. Especially, I mean, the only sort of major issue it is kind of the mascots of the game, or end up being, Charmander, or I guess Charizard and Blastoise, and then Pikachu was kind of like this afterthought, because they decided in the games, at least, because they decided that I think they decided after the games are created, in order to sell the show, we need a sort of cute Pokemon. And as history will tell you, originally it was supposed to be Clefairy.
Yeah, I was about to say, it could have been worse. Would have been Clefairy.
Yeah. It was originally supposed to be Clefairy, and it ends up being Pikachu after they kind of decide that Pikachu is cuter and much more versatile, and not girly.
They did the right thing.
But it's an interesting. I personally, we've talked a lot about the things that are so wrong in this episode, and trust me, this will not be the first time that we talk about it. Because a lot.
You're gonna hear this a lot.
There are gyms where Ash is fighting his friends. There are gyms where Ash has to cross-dress to get in. There are gyms where he legitimately has to climb up to the top of a volcano.
There are gyms that don't exist in the game.
Yeah, there are gyms where you're just supposed to face Giovanni, and you don't end up facing Giovanni at all. But that's the allure of the actual show itself. The show is great. To me, as much as we talk about what's wrong with this episode, which is kind of like the point I want to make in the first place, as much as we talk about what's wrong with this is still ultimately an enjoyable season of the show.
Historic.
The episodes are good. It's just this stuff. The problem is that the games were so rudimentary.
And rigid, maybe rigid.
Yes, rigid. They were rigid because they were handheld games from the mid '90s. I mean, pipes weren't exploding and covering Pokemon in water that would make them weaker to something. That was something you would do in a boss fight in Zelda in an N64 game,
in a regular RPG.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool that the show made them more three-dimensional ultimately. But reckoning with what you weren't able to do in the games is really funny.
Yeah, pretty much. You weren't able to do any of the shit that happened in the show. You show up with a Thunder Shock on Geodude, and you getting...
It's not going to work.
Yeah,
it would have been cool if you hit them with a water attack, and while, for 2-3 turns, you can hit them with an electric attack because they're wet. I don't know, man. We ain't never going to get this shit.
Yeah, I know. It's clear. This is we're thinking as consumers of the product for 20 years.
Yeah.
But at the time, they were we need people to fucking like Pikachu. We don't. He's not catching some random you know, I don't even know what water types there
Whatever. It's
were
not a fucking
in the gym.
Poliwag.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We don't need him. There's room for Poliwag later. We need to sell Pikachu right now. Like, do the
Right.
Pikachu shit.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you guys a random question, and this will probably be the last thing, and then we'll wrap up this episode, our inaugural episode of season 2. If they made a game similar to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot,
Okay.
where it was Pokemon, but it was the entire Ash first story.
Yes.
Oh, you're buying
God.
this.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
I don't know why. I would having Ash canon in a video game setting, but run his story from the beginning to the I mean, that shit would be so fun, dude. I'd be all over that.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
I agree.
Yeah, I would love it.
I don't know if it ever happened though.
Nah, it doesn't seem like the people who make the show want to be invested in the game. The show, it's so weird because the anime and the game, they obviously want to lend on promotion for each other, but they also, in the same sense, don't want anything to do with one another because there's so many things that you want in the show that's from the anime. And I mean, one thing that I had, because I don't know what they're doing with this current season of Pokemon, it just seems like a lot of jet setting and a lot of fun. Granted, it's a lot of fun. I don't know what they're currently doing, but honestly, if they took Sword and Shield's plot and made it a movie, more people would go see the movie.
I'm sure they would. I'm sure that
if you took all this, evil chairman, Dynamax, Eternatus, and made it into a movie, I would 100% be excited about the movie.
Let me ask you guys one more question real quick. Will you guys ever consider enjoying Ash not being the main protagonist and time has gone by, maybe he's a champion to some extent and there's a new character? You think it's ever going to happen? Or is Ash forever going to be this 10, 11-year-old kid who's just trying to find his way?
Yeah, I think they're just going off the beauty of the power of cartoons in that, like, he's 10 forever. He's the main character in a cartoon forever.
Right.
So, it would be awesome otherwise, but I do kind of like that he is, like, the making him red in the games, like alluding to the fact that red and blue are Ash and Gary.
Right.
That's enough for me. I think that's actually like a pretty fun,
it's got me by
cool thing. Like when you, I mean, maybe the most thrilling moment of the entire franchise is in is in Gold and Silver when you fight Red on Mount Silver, and you're like, it is Ash's lineup.
Roster.
Like it's like, and it's his name is still Red, but he doesn't say anything. Like it's cool as shit, and that's honestly better than if they were like, here's Ash, you're fighting Ash, like fighting Red, and that Red is Ash. That's cool to me.
Is enough, right?
I think, in terms of the anime, I think they probably never get rid of Ash. But the thing is, like, I don't think we don't really want to get rid of Ash. I think people just expect more from Ash.
Yeah, maybe in a different setting.
As the episodes continue to go on, we don't kind of want this hard reset of where he's continuously getting beat, albeit him being way more experienced than various other trainers then. So we expect more from the character moving forward. But he ends up kind of maintaining this very like kid like thing, and they kind of do like a soft reset kind of every region that he goes to. But we want more from Ash. I think if we got that, no one would even ponder, let's do it. But I mean, I think there is room for a much more mature series, especially
not a mini series, something that has like a backbone attached to it.
Yeah, for a much more mature series. We cover anime quite a bit. The anime world is booming pretty much, especially with all these series going up. I mean, we're seeing kids going up against demons and getting killed.
Again,
so I think
the manga,
right?
Pokemon,
I still haven't got it.
It's if you're looking for something a little bit more extreme, that's what you go for. They get eaten in that shit.
I don't want that. Makes me sad.
Check it, just watch it, man. It will make you sad.
But that wraps up this episode of Mount Silver. We're we went over the Pewter City Gym, and then the episode regarding the Pewter City Gym. Up next, we will be talking about the Cerulean City Gym. If you were bold enough to go through Mount Moon and not die after a bunch of Zubats try to peck your eyes out.
We could have a whole episode just on those Zubats.
Yeah, and we meet Misty all after the fact. So next episode, we'll be going over Cerulean City Gym. You can look out for that. Once again, to stay tuned with everything going on, you can follow the Lookout RNC on Twitter. You can follow RNC Radio Live on Twitter. You can subscribe to the Lookout RNC on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, anywhere where you can find podcasts. You can find this podcast. And yeah, we're gonna be running back with Mount Silver for a couple weeks now. So make sure you stay tuned, stay ready. Oh, that's not the ending for this show. I should come up with the original ending for this show. I can't think of anything right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Yeah.